I'm Aarón Sánchez, and I'm gonna be making a great recipe for you guys. It's Aarón Adobo. It's a spice rub. All the Latin cultures have their own renditions of what an adobo is. My adobo starts with some really beautiful, fragrant spices that I have a huge affinity for, okay? Now this is fennel seed. So I'm gonna take a nice pinch of these fennel seeds. Let's go to another super assertive spice, which is cumin, comino. Kind of smaller amount of the cumin seed. Here I have some mustard seed. Now I'm bonkers about mustard seed because I like that little bite and pepperiness that it brings. And then what we're gonna go ahead and do is bring some coriander seed to the party. I have a little bit of onion powder. Onion powder, old school. That's what I'm talking about. This is what you call paprika. You get some spicier, some smokier. This is kind of a really sort of entry-level pimentón or paprika. Here we have some garlic powder, no big deal. A little bit of that as well. Here is one of my favorite ingredients, Mexican oregano. This is something beautiful. What I like to do is just kind of mix it with my hands and really release those essential oils. All we're gonna simply do is toss in this bowl. So now that I have that, we're gonna get to the real heart and soul of this adobo, which is the chiles, right? If you go to South America, they're called ajís, A-J-I. Right here, I have some dried chipotle. So when you get your dried chiles and you purchase them for a purveyor, they should be pliable. They should not break when you crack them. Can I just work with a little paring knife, make it easy on yourself, open them up, and then just simply with the back of your paring knife, just kind of remove some of the seeds, okay? This next chile that I just absolutely am bonkers about is the chile ancho. Open this up. Now that we have our chiles done, they're gonna toast at different intervals. We have our spices here, put them in a smaller cast iron skillet, dry, nothing in it, and then we're gonna kind of distribute the chiles as well in a cast iron skillet. Toast these at medium-high heat. All those wonderful aromas are being released, and then I'm gonna visit over here with our spices. Now, these are gonna take a little bit less than the chiles. Oh, and the aroma is intoxicating. And now what I'm simply gonna do is puree them. And I'm gonna start with the chiles that have been toasted. And I wanna break them up kind of coarsely with my hand. Make sure I'm hearing that sound. That's really important. And you can see the ratio of this adobo. It is heavy on the dried chiles, very important. I'll go in simply with the spices that have been toasted beautifully. Qué rico, no puedo creer. It's all about blend. If I can tell you for one moment what I'm getting as far as the sensory overload of spices, a little bit sweet, a little bit toasty, almost coffee in nature, and the application has to be with something that needs big flavor, that doesn't have a lot of inherent flavor. So we're talking chicken, pork. The one thing I would steer away from is seafood. Here's one thing that we don't have in there, guys, salt. Why don't we have salt? It removes the moisture. Salt should always be added right before you go to cook. That's why teriyaki glazes suck. Get your grill hot and oil the product. That way, not only does it create a beautiful crust on the outside, but it helps that beautiful seasoning adhere. In this case, I'm gonna use some good olive oil. I'm a huge fan of Spanish olive oil. Go with the salt first. So some fresh cracked pepper. All right, let's bring this beautiful adobo to the party, okay? There's actually a beautiful art to seasoning. Sometimes cooks will put too much salt or too much black pepper and not distribute it, so there's a certain amount of finesse and grace. Don't let any of that go to waste, guys. Sit it like that. I like to let it sit for about half an hour, just for a moment, for all those beautiful spices and chiles to permeate the actual pork tenderloin. And then what we're gonna go ahead and do is go outside in my beautiful garden grill, and we're gonna cook this bad boy. I'm Aarón Sánchez. I'm gonna be making for you guys one of my favorite recipes. And I have to say, honestly, that chipotles and adobo is probably that one ingredient that speaks to me. The reason being, it's a non-perishable canned item and it is loaded with tons of flavor. This recipe in particular is something that I constantly make. We use it at our restaurants all the time. We're talking about 5 ingredients in total. It's a base, it's a puree, it's a marinade. It is the jumping point to many different beautiful recipes that can spawn from this actual base. I have some cloves of garlic that have simply been cooked or confit in a very neutral oil, like a canola oil. You cook it simply, either on the stovetop, covered, or in the oven, low and slow, 350 degrees for about half an hour. What's this? It's actually the reserved oil that the garlic was cooked in or confit in. So I'm gonna add that as well. The true star of the dish, the chipotles and adobo. These are red jalapenos. Chipotles is all about the smokiness, guys. So that goes in there as well. Good amount of cilantro with the stems. And then here, I have some lime zest. Now, the idea of the lime zest is more important than I think the juice in this case. It perfumes it, gives it acidity. Put a little bit of salt, some pepper, and then what we're gonna go ahead and do is blend this too. Beautiful. I'm getting in there, I can smell the sweet, nutty garlic. I can get the smokiness from the chipotle, that herbaceous punch from the cilantro, and that beautiful perfume from the actual lime. We'll give a good taste. See where we are? Perfect. You can actually take this puree by itself, engulf a chicken breast, go to the grill with it. You can add a little bit more lime juice and oil and make a vinaigrette. This puree is the beautiful starting place for delicious things to come. And that's what you need. I'm gonna make a quick little chipotle mayo. Chipotle mayo can go on anything. It can dress a sandwich. It goes with poached seafood. What I'm gonna do is take maybe about 2 tablespoons of the actual chipotle love. Is get a little bit of mayonnaise, okay? And then fresh lime juice. So what I'm gonna do is just cut half a lime, and I'm just gonna squeeze that in there with the mayo and the chipotle love. Baby, when I talk about flavor, smokiness, and creaminess, this right here just makes people happy. Beautiful. I'm providing you guys with tools to make deliciousness. Now it's time for you to explore and have fun with it. I'm Aarón Sánchez. I'm gonna be making one of my favorite recipes, which is a cilantro, pumpkin seed, and cotija pesto. We're gonna start with a couple cloves of garlic. Now normally, if you know me, I don't like to use raw garlic in anything. But in this case, I make an exception. So, a little bit of salt. I have some chile jalapeno here. And kind of my rule with the jalapenos is I like to kind of go with half of one when I'm cooking just to kind of gauge the heat level. A little bit of toasted pumpkin seeds, also called pepitas. Do all of that. Fresh cracked pepper. Okay, so we'll put a little bit of cilantro, or I should say a lot of cilantro. It's so fragrant, so beautiful. Now that I have that, a little bit of cotija cheese. And then what I'm gonna do now is kind of integrate the cilantro and the cotija with the rest of the ingredients. Now that I have that, what I'm gonna do is take a good amount of olive oil, extra virgin. You wanna use a good olive oil, guys, okay? Beautiful. Dynamite. Creamy. A good amount of that savoriness from the cotija cheese. The spice level is kept in check. So this right here in its essence is a cilantro pumpkin seed and cotija pesto. I'm gonna make a really delicious, very simple pasta for you guys to see exactly how to utilize this unbelievable flavor base. A little bit of olive oil. Start with some beautiful summer squash that I've simply just kind of cut into rings. And I'm gonna start to cook these first. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Add the potatoes. The potatoes were actually pre-blanched or already boiled. I'm gonna add some fresh spring peas, some English peas that have been pre-cooked or blanched. Let's take our pasta, okay, right into the pot. And this is how we're gonna finish it. Ready? Generous spoonfuls of the pesto. This is what's gonna really make this pasta special. So our pasta is dynamite. And then I'm just gonna garnish it simply with some beautiful cotija cheese. This sort of marriage of two cultures, Italy meets Mexico. Fresh, vibrant, expression of spring, get down with it. There's a couple of things that you're measured on at a great Mexican restaurant. The most paramount is a great guacamole, okay? So I'm gonna show you how we make our guacamole and you will see how it contributes to all the different layers of flavor, okay? We make a base for the guacamole with chile serrano, kind of like the brother of the chile jalapeno, a little spicier, has a little bit more herbaceousness. I add that to a blender base. I'm gonna add some white onion. We're gonna throw that in there as well with a heaping amount of cilantro. And then we're gonna add a bunch of lime juice, okay? A fair amount of it. Take the main star of the dish, which is the avocados. Put it in a bowl. And this is my secret weapon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way my mama used it. This is Mexican oregano. It's this beautiful, fragrant, dry herb. So I think it really works well with the avocado. So take some sea salt, and that's gonna help bring out a lot of the moisture from the avocado and make it easier to mash, okay? So there's a couple tricks with guacamole that I want everyone to remember. You shouldn't mash it too smooth. And the other big deal is you should always have your guacamole room temperature. You don't want it necessarily cold. Take in some of that puree and help flavor this guacamole, reinforcing those ingredients, okay? Now I'm gonna add some of the more traditional stuff that you're associated with. So we'll do some onion. And I like super fine dice with this, and add some fresh cilantro, which I have here, some tomato. Now, I always use Roma tomato, and please do not throw the seeds out. People working with chiles like jalapeno and they remove the seeds, don't do that. That's what you call a gringada. That's a gringo move. Then once we have that, we'll add that to the guacamole as well, and then we'll put the finishing touches. I'll give it a taste. Man, that's good. And then I'm gonna finish it simply with a little bit of queso fresco, queso cotija, whatever you have available. And then a little bit of sliced radish. And then if you wanted to go tribal, go really back to the motherland, you go with a little bit of champulines, all right? Now, champulines are grasshoppers. And there's a culture of taking grasshoppers, maguey worms, and ants, and then sun-drying them, and then tossing them with salt and dried chile. You get them sometimes bigger. They have a beautiful sort of acidity to them. A little earthiness that's just wonderful. And then I'm just gonna garnish it like that. So there you guys have it. You have the more traditional, straight up guacamole done the way we make it here at Johnny Sánchez, New Orleans. So really get behind this and understand the building blocks of Mexican food, and then you can truly recreate this at home and be happy. Hi, I'm Aarón Sánchez. I'm gonna be making for you guys a mango-ají amarillo puree. The idea of taking sweet, luscious, meaty tropical fruits like pineapple, mango, papaya, and then mixing that with a very citrusy, milder chile, that really, for me, is a beautiful combination for things like ceviche and salad dressings. Here's how we're gonna start. Again, the simplicity of ingredients to me really talks to my style of cooking. Right here, I have a puree of ají amarillo. Now, ají amarillo is also called ají mirasol or sunflower chile. Very tropical, citrusy, floral. So we have a little bit of spice happening there. Let's add a little bit of sweetness. Here I have a little bit of agave nectar. Now this is all the rage. You know, it's that beautiful sugar substitute. It's a sap that's extracted from the actual piña or the agave or the cactus before it's turned into tequila. Here I have a mustard. You can use Dijon, you can use Creole mustard. I just love the combination of the vinegar notes, that blunt spice that mustard gives you. And then here I have a puree of mango. You can use mango nectar if you don't have it. You know, kind of run your knife down the middle, all right? And then you kind of quarter it. And then what you can do is actually just kind of run your knife down, and you can have these beautiful sort of quarters of mango. And then what I like to do is run my knife right underneath the actual skin. And then what you're left with is beautiful, intact mango, okay? And then what you can simply do is puree this in your blender with a little bit of water, and you have a mango puree, guys. Let's add some other elements to the party. What's gonna have that crunch, that salty component, that acid that's gonna wake your palate up? So I'm using a little bit of the lime zest as well as the actual juice, okay? Take some beautiful fresh fish, cube it, slice it thinly, put lime juice and olive oil on top of it, and then simply dress your ceviche with this unbelievable mango-ají amarillo puree, and you're in business. Now that I have this, I'm gonna give it a little taste. Man, this, add a little bit more olive oil, some more lime juice, a perfect dressing for a grilled chicken salad. Add this to your ceviche mix with your tomato, red onion, and cilantro, and you have some winning combination that's gonna make all the people at your next dinner party happy. I'm Aarón Sánchez, and I'm gonna be making for you guys a summer squash quesadilla. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, what's the first thing that I learned how to make? And the first thing I learned how to make, una quesadilla. Here we're gonna start. I have beautiful flour tortillas. We're gonna lay some nice coarse pieces of queso Oaxaca. And then what I'm gonna do here is kind of focus, I think, on some squash blossoms and some zucchini. So I've just simply cut this thin, saute them in a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, very simple. Caramelize the outside. And I'm gonna start to distribute these evenly throughout the circumference of the tortilla, making sure to kind of keep everything a little bit centered. I have some beautiful zucchini flowers or squash blossoms. So imagine these beautiful zucchinis growing, and at the end of them, they have these beautiful flowers, and this is what I have here, okay? So I'm gonna layer that down there as well. And into this, I'm gonna take some beautiful sprigs of cilantro. If you wanted to put some roasted poblano peppers in here, some jalapeno, you wanted to kick it up with some heat, you can do that as well. Put another layer, lightly brush the outside with some oil. I have a nice big cast iron skillet. I'm gonna put it over there to cook for about 5 minutes on one side. Oil the other side of it, just like I did on this side. Cook it for another 5 minutes, and we have a beautiful quesadilla. And the way I like to present my quesadilla is simple. Cut it into fours, just like this. Okay, and serve it like almost like you would a pizza. Put whatever fresh salsa you like. So if you like a roasted tomato salsa, you like some tomatillo with some avocado, go for it. This is your time to have fun. I'm gonna do a roasted tomato chipotle based salsa, and then I'm gonna garnish it with a little bit of cilantro perhaps, some squash blossom, just right on top. Just have fun with it. And right here, this is a pure expression of how I cook, what makes me happy, what fills my soul, what gives me joy in my heart. And the kitchen, La Cocina, is all about love. So here we are at my restaurant, my home, Johnny Sánchez in New Orleans. And what I want to share with you guys is one of our signature dishes here at the restaurant, which is a Yellowtail Tiradito. And this is one of the dishes that I think best represents all the lighter and the fresher elements of Mexican food. We're gonna start with some fresh lime, and that's gonna start to make the base of the marinade, okay? So now that I have the fresh lime juice, we'll start with a little bit of salt. Now this is a wonderful chile puree. This is actually ají amarillo. We're gonna add a nice fair amount of that, give a little bit of a whisk to that, and just incorporate that ají amarillo into this marinade. We're gonna go with a little bit of just fresh ginger, a nice fine grater. Just try to break it down to its essence and get all the wonderful oils and that flavor from the actual ginger, okay? I'm gonna take some chile serrano. Now this is the serrano pepper, which is kind of the devious younger brother of the chile jalapeno. Has a little bit more heat. I'll take some of that microplane and that just fine essence of the chile and put that in there as well, okay? Take some lemongrass. Now this beautiful lemongrass as well has that wonderful aromatic to it as well. So I'm gonna just beat it up a little bit. It has this fibrous part in the middle. And what I like to do is put a little bit of salt, because the salt actually will help bring out the moisture, right? We're gonna cut it super fine. And then you can actually take your knife as well, rub it down, and kind of make a paste with it, okay? We'll add a little bit of cilantro, and then we'll let that sit, okay? The longer it sits, those flavors are gonna come together. You don't want it to sit overnight per se, but you do definitely want a little maceration of about an hour, okay? So what's gonna be the focus of our tiradito will be this beautiful yellowtail. Now this recipe is great with tuna, with snapper, anything that's fresh and local. So once you get it down, we're just gonna cut the tiras. And this right here, in essence, is what makes it a tiradito. Tiraditos or tiras is strips of beautiful fish, right? And you kind of want to distribute it all over, and then we'll have a nice piece in the middle. And I like a fair amount of it as well. And then we'll start to put in all the other components, okay? So I'm gonna do a little bit of cherry tomato. So we'll just kind of distribute those over. I'm gonna take even the seeds and make that part of the ceviche, okay? Some orange segments. We'll put a little bit of radish in there as well. Okay, here we'll have some beautiful avocado. We're gonna take some pickled onion. We're getting dangerously close to eating, which is my favorite part. We'll take a little bit of sea salt and just put them right on top. A little bit more marinade, because now you have all those wonderful citrus and everything on top, and you want it to have a little bit of that as well. We'll take some cilantro, and then I'm just gonna finish it with some good Mexican extra virgin olive oil. And there you have it, y'all. That's that beautiful Yellowtail Tiradito that we make here at Johnny Sánchez. And if you don't know, now you know. This is what I want to share with everybody out there.